Hello, I'm Ruben Cornell and welcome to this week's Samplecast. Thanks so much for watching, and there's a lot to get through this week, so I'm going to kick it right off. Rather than start off with the news this week, I'm going to take a look at the development of Toontrack's Superior Drummer 3, which is due out on September the 12th. That's right, sadly you can't get hold of it just yet, but I've had my hands on it for a few weeks now. Now, the reason I got hold of this early is that back in May I was invited to Belgium to a special preview of Superior Drummer 3 at Galaxy Studios, where it was recorded and engineered by renowned recording engineer George Massenberg. I got to see SD3 in action, I saw the actual kits that they used and the studio that they recorded in, and I also had a look at the sampling process and had a chance to quiz the developers. And trust me, there were lots of tough questions for them to answer. I'll be reviewing Superior Drummer 3 in a few weeks' time, but in the meantime, here's the lowdown on the main changes. SD3 has been redesigned from the ground up with a brand new rescalable interface and breakout windows. It's an improvement over Superior Drummer 2 in pretty much every way, with 11.1 surround sound samples, over 10 times as much content, a new audio to MIDI tracker for drum replacement, and brand new effects as well. I have to say that so far during my time with Superior Drummer 3, I've found it a powerhouse of drum production. The samples themselves are tight, clean and expertly recorded, and the new animated interface is inspiring. Plus as well, the MIDI grooves are completely realistic and super easy to edit. Although I personally don't have an 11.1 surround sound setup to test out all of the different microphone positions, the demos I got at Galaxy Studios were enough to convince me of the power of this kind of routing. So far it's a big thumbs up from me. Do look forward to my full Superior Drummer 3 review in September, and you can pre-order and check out the details now over at Time and Space, and there are discounts for previous Toontrack customers. Let's get into the news, and this new library from 8DO samples a 200-year-old mandolin with 7,200 samples. It runs in the full version of Kontakt 5.6.6 and above, and it has a strummer engine and solo strings recorded too. There's many different articulations, including sustains, shorts, vibratos, tremolos, muted, harmonics and strums, as well as loads more. And you've got some interesting effects on board as well, which can produce some useful tones for sound design. Now, all of this is covered in 8DO's comprehensive walkthrough video. Do check it out at the 8DO site. A quick mention for Audict's second violins. This is their next set of string samples and they're out now. The second violins follow the first violins and cellos, and we've got still to come the basses and the violas. If you've seen me talk about Auddict before, then you can pretty much be sure that this user interface is exactly the same as their previous libraries. The second violins are 14 GB in size, 7 microphone positions, and you can check out my video of the first violins for a good idea of how they work and the functionality. There's more information available at the Auddict website. Organic Samples have been pretty busy lately. I mentioned them last week, and this week they've got a brand new piano library out. It's Bosendorfer Grand Piano Staccatos. Now weirdly, this does only include staccato samples as suggested by the title, but it's a pretty lightweight library at 2,760 samples and about 4 GB in size. This runs in the full version of Kontakt 5.5.1 and above. The piano has been recorded in 3 mic positions with a few different round robins and 3 dynamic layers. It's an interesting proposition for those that just need fast staccato playing, and at the moment just €14 as well. There's more details over at the Organic Samples website. One last thing to round up the news, and it's a plugin by Plugin Alliance. It's the Fiedler Audio Stage. It's a new spatializer plugin for Mac and PC, and it aims to take everything from single tracks to full mixers and use spatial processing, delay, reverb, panorama, filtering and LFOs to widen the mixers and create interesting stereo effects. You can also use it to correct wonky stereo signals with tilt and mid-side controls. To get a better idea of what this plugin actually does, do take some time to watch the 5-minute demo video online. It does explain it pretty well and much better than I can here. There's a 14-day trial available at the Plugin Alliance website, so you can try it out for yourself for free. Do check it out. A couple of nice bargains this week. First up, it's Stereo Savage, which is a plugin developed by Plugin Boutique. I covered this amazing stereo imaging plugin all the way back in Samplecast 5, and I have been actually using it in my own tracks ever since. It's a really cool and very easy to use stereo widening plugin for Mac and PC, and it's got some creative LFO and delay effects. I definitely recommend trying it on synth lines, high frequency percussion and vocals, and for the next 2 weeks it's 50% off over at VST Buzz, now just €34.99. The Percussion Mega Pack from Function Loops is over 300 one-shot drum hits and sampled loops. You've got here kicks, claps, top loops, stripped loops and kick-only loops as well. The best thing about this, well, it's just $5 for a limited time only. Do grab it at the Function Loops website. Thanks to Contact Hub for sending Chordscape my way for a play. It's a 4-layer ambient pad creator, runs in the full version of Contact 5.5 and above, and it's this week's big review. Chordscape is a 6GB library when fully decompressed, and it downloads and installs reasonably easily with just a small matter of snapshot folder structure to sort out manually, although there is a walkthrough document to help out with this if you haven't done it before. Speaking of snapshots, it comes with 200 right off the bat, which I thought is pretty generous, and they're quite wide in terms of tone and function and timbre. There's a lot of different kind of sounds there, so let's have a listen to those. The basic concept of Chordscape is that it creates emulated infinite tape loops from its hundreds of sound sources. Then it layers them up in a 4-layer engine with various step sequences to control filters, effect sends, pitch, panning, wow and flutter, and finally routes these into a global effects rack. If you think that sounds similar to 100 other soundscape creators that are out there, then quite frankly it is, but Chordscape does pull a few tricks out of the bag to make it something a little special. First off, the pure amount of customization to the various controls is phenomenal. Almost every single control has a sequencer that you can call up and edit yourself, changing the number of steps from 4 all the way up to 128, and these have adjustable tempo syncing too. The tape emulation part of the interface deserves a special mention as well. You can adjust the virtual age of the tape in question, along with the tape material and how the grains are played back. I really love this feature. One thing the manual doesn't mention, which you can also do in Chordscape, is dragging your own samples to the engine. That's pretty cool stuff. The sequencer page of the interface can be activated and deactivated for all the different layers, and this allows control of the scale and pitch of each layer, and you can save and load presets too, although a few more presets wouldn't have gone amiss here. There's a few other things I think could have been handled just a little better. The sound source browser is a bit clunky, to be honest, when you're browsing through it, and it doesn't seem to load a new sound until you close it, and even then it takes a little while to fire up. Having said that, I do like the categorization of the sounds and the wide variety of sources, although I'd suggest that some sounds are very similar, such as the astonishing 22 different rainy street ambiences. It's also a bit weird that the solo, mute and playback buttons operate in the way that they do. They're toggles rather than the velocity sensitive key switches for on and off. In my opinion, velocity sensitive would have been the way to go. So in conclusion, for the asking price, I do think Chordscape is a good deal. Even if you don't venture far beyond the 200 presets, I think you will get your money's worth. Despite a few odd quirks and a bit of a learning curve, I can see Chordscape being useful for soundscape designers, ambient artists, and those who value the unpredictability of sound above strict parameter tweaking. Chordscape is available now from Contact Hub. First up in this week's developer update, it's Orchestral Tools. Now they've got updates for a couple of their libraries from years ago to take advantage of their new capsule system. They've also developed some new patches and multis. Now you've got Orchestral String Runs, which features a new lock to beat option with new run types and a brand new interface. And secondly, Symphonic Sphere, which also has a few bug fixes and a refined interface too. These two updates are free for previous owners, or they're currently on offer for new users. If you haven't already received your download links, do bug Orchestral Tools, they'll sort that out for you, and check out their website for the full list of updates. The Lowdown version 2 from Modwheel is up next. Now the original Lowdown library was Modwheel's very first release, that was back in 2014. This new update brings with it an updated interface, better functionality and new sample content as well. It's a double bass library featuring arco playing, you've got pizzicato in there, detuned performances too, and harmonics as well. It runs in the full version of Contact 5.5 and above. And Modwheel have basically extracted every possible type of sound you can get from a double bass. Firstly by detuning it down 8 semitones, and then playing it with mallets, chopsticks, brushes and many other types of abusive tools. In addition to multi-sample performances, you've also got tempo synced loops and rhythms. You can check out this update over at the Modwheel site. So finally, a quick mention for Spitfire's new product. I say new, but it's actually a relaunch of Mural Symphonic Evolutions. It's a standalone product with NKS compatibility and goes under the name of Spitfire Symphonic Strings Evolutions. So this uses the same samples as the previous library, and if you've actually got the previous library, you can upgrade for free. For everyone else, it's just over £200 on offer at the moment, and uncompressed is 36 gigabytes in size. It will run in the Contact player 5.6.8 and above, and it's basically a way for you to create symphonic string textures very easily using the Spitfire Evo engine. There's quite a few walkthrough videos online, so I'm not going to explain it too much here. Do check out the Spitfire site to have a look at those if you're interested. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget that you can hear everything that I've discussed, sample library demos and more on the Samplecast podcast. You can also get a little bit more chat from me if you can stand any more of me, and I will see you next week. Bye bye now.